for January.
Looks good to me.
Okay, we just do a motion to accept them.
I'll make a motion to accept them.
Thank you, Marie.
Hi, Rebecca.
Sorry, my internet is totally down and I don't be able to use my phone to call in.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if you want to have me on speaker.
Sure, I can put you on speaker. Hold on.
Technical difficulties. She said she was having trouble with her laptop yesterday.
Mhm.
Okay, Rebecca, can you hear?
I can hear.
Okay, great. All right.
Hi.
We're just looking at, we're just about to make a motion to approve the P&L and the balance sheet. So do I have a motion to that effect?
It was
I
Marie.
make a motion.
Yep.
Thank
Yep.
you, Marie. Second? Can I second that?
I can second it.
All right, Rebecca, all in favor? Aye.
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 Great, thanks. Okay, moving on to the budget for this year.
So the budget I had actually put together and I thought we passed it in November and we did not. So that's my apologies. However, that's fine because since we have the ADLN grant, I was able to update it to include those funds in the budget. So the 2020 line is actual, so is the 2019, 2021. As you can see, I broke down the ADLN grant expense
Mm.
according to the budget that we had in the contract. And then I left it very simple, just saying that we were getting $1 million in. That way it evens out with the funds that stay to us or whatever. And again, this is for ABO. We have to post it on the website. It's a very general budget that isn't broken down into too much minutia. It's based on previous expenses, like 500 bucks in case something happens with the computer. That will also include QuickBooks costs when we go through. That's about, I think it's like $40 or $50 a month. We get a discount for being governmental, so I have to work that cost out. But last year we didn't pay any for legal costs and we didn't do anything for an appraiser on properties. So I just estimated around $2,000.
So do we think that's realistic with Victoria?
Yeah, I'm not sure now. I think it might need to be adjusted. Maybe just put maybe 5 in there for now.
Yeah, 2 doesn't seem like it's going to get us very much legal. And I think with the ADLN stuff, she's going to be reviewing probably a fair number of contracts with MOUs.
Sure. So I can make that adjustment. But as you can see, as we have $40,000 for the most part, I mean, this is money out and money in. It's a deficit of 19, which leaves us around 19 at the end of the year if everything goes through even. So
that's a pretty big spend down if we have 40. So we're
Yeah.
spending half of everything that we've
Right.
got.
So pretty much, I mean, that's assuming, our insurance cost, computer, legal moving up to 5, the audit was around 7. I'm assuming it might be cheaper this year for 2020 now that we've gone through all the hard work. Just in experience, I'm working with them with HDC as well, and we're already started on the 2020 audit and I'm almost done. So hopefully that will be a lot quicker and not delayed like it was this year. So
Okay. And then as far as salaries coordinator, is that you?
that's me. Yep.
Okay. So typically we're paying you about $500 a month, aren't we?
Yeah.
So is 10,000 high?
It might be high, but I didn't want to leave it under budget only because what if something happens with the grant and there's a lot of legwork or something that needs to happen? And if we've got this temporary position, like just making sure that everything was put together.
So that wouldn't come out of grant money?
It does. It does. I just wanted to make sure because I'm assuming that, once we get the temporary position and everybody figures out what their roles are, as far as me cutting checks and keeping things in line as far as ABO and the grant process itself. I mean, I just didn't want it to be too much. I mean, we could change that. I have no problem.
Are you guys saying that, so this is a budget we're looking at, right? And Brenda, you're saying you've budgeted a certain amount, but obviously, you know, it doesn't, you're just saying you've put in a certain amount so as not to underestimate?
Yeah,
That's right.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, there definitely is startup time, and I do assume that it'll get a lot simpler after the
Yeah.
initial setup is done. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, so just wanted to put that in there.
Yeah, cool. I mean, as far as it's concerned, I mean, last year total, even with the shared service agreement with HDC, and see, I split it there. So the wages through HDC were about 6,000 plus the taxes. And then for the last 3 months, it was just, you guys pay me as a 1099 contract worker at just under 2,500. So if you want me to take that 10,000 down to, we would take it down to like 7.
Well, maybe it doesn't matter. I mean, it certainly can be adjusted through the year.
Exactly, yeah.
We need to reassess and move some money around if, yeah, I just wanted to make sure that it looked realistic because I had seen the salary for coordinator plus the salary for the ADLN, and I wasn't sure if that was duplicative in any way or if that
No,
was two
separate.
different. Okay, all right.
Okay, cool. So I'll make the change on legal and then I'll get that posted and we'll be good. So if we could do resolution.
All right. Do I have a motion to approve our 2021 budget?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. I got Rebecca. Do I have Mr. Mayor, do you want a second?
Yeah, I will second.
Thank
Okay. All in favor, say aye, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thanks, Brenda. Good job.
Sure. The only other thing I had a request was to purchase Microsoft Word and Excel because with the new computer, it's using pages and numbers, which is not user-friendly and not universal. So I even yesterday I sent Kamal a document. It was like, I can't open this. So,
Mm.
Yeah.
so if it's okay with you, I'd like to have that on the laptop.
Yeah, I think you should either Google
Absolutely.
Docs or MS Word. I work in Word all
Okay.
day long and I find it the easiest of all of them.
Okay.
Absolutely, please do. Pages is awful.
It's a nightmare. It's just so counterintuitive. You think that Apple with all their other products that they could do that, but no.
It's terrible. Okay.
Cool. All right. So the next thing is our ADNL program updates. And I listed on the revised agenda just the organizational tasks. That way everybody's on the same page of what's been going on then since the last time we met for the special meeting.
So can we look at that together?
Sure. Let me bring it open. Got too many screens open.
Looks like it.
Yeah.
Come on. Here we go.
Okay.
Okay, so the enterprise contract was approved at the special meeting last time. However, just FYI, our lovely legal counsel did provide where did it go? A resolution making sure that we had all the information in regards to accepting the contract and the subcontracts. So Michael, is it your understanding that we need to just have this along with the minutes?
Yeah, I think we want to pass that as a resolution to say that you're adopting the contract with Enterprise and you're adopting a contract with the City of Hudson to carry out a portion of the grant, and you're adopting a resolution with with St. Catherine's to carry out a portion of the grant.
So we already did the enterprise one.
Oh, right. Okay. So then just
Right,
the
so
two
we already did
subcontracts.
that's the special, so the two subcontracts. Okay.
Right.
I'm just quickly reading it.
Sure, no problem.
How I missed this one.
There was a bunch of documents flying back and forth the one day and was like, wait.
Okay.
So I'll send this to you as well. I'll fill it out to make sure that we're all good with the other minutes, but.
Okay, I see that it provides for the work plan and
Mhm.
yeah, all of that. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm
She's
good.
very thorough.
She is very thorough. Yes, she is. Yes, she is. Okay, so do you all feel that we're in a position to make this motion and approve it at this point?
I do.
And Rebecca, you've obviously gone over this with a fine tooth comb, I'm sure.
So we got a motion from Rebecca and we need a second.
I'll second that.
Thanks, Marie.
Sorry.
Okay. So the temporary the admin job has been posted, correct? Michael,
That's
where is
correct.
city website, I saw that, and I saw that on some social media channels, at least on Instagram. I think the mayor put it up. Was there anywhere else that we should?
I posted it on Indeed,
Okay,
which seemed to be the largest site that didn't charge for posting.
right.
And I know that like it's also been posted on like other social media job boards.
Okay,
So we've probably gotten at least more than 10 applications so far.
Wow.
Really?
Okay,
Wow.
And
that's a lot.
and I have a
Can I
couple.
make a suggestion that we send a copy to Bliss Towers because they have an information board for their tenants, particularly those that don't have internet?
Oh, sure, we can do that for Bliss and Providence Hall. That's a great idea, Tiffany. Tiffany, welcome. I didn't know you were going to be joining us today.
Yeah, I wasn't going to, but some other things happened, so I'm here.
Yeah, that's a good idea if we want to send that to be posted on the community boards at those buildings. That's a great idea. What about the library?
I'm sorry, and also the Hudson Terraces, they have a newsletter that they send out to all their tenants.
Oh, good. Michael, is anyone able to use the library at this point?
Yes, the library is by appointment. The physical library is by appointment only, and there is a person there who does some like job help stuff.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, is that person, if I think it would be a good idea to send it to Emily or Brenda, just so that people locally know. Okay.
Cool.
And then Tiffany, for your suggestions, can you either take the posting on the website and give it to those places, or give me the list of like how to make those submissions?
I can give you the list, absolutely.
Sounds good.
Okay, you want me to do that through email or a phone conversation?
If you can do it through email, that'd be great.
Okay, no problem.
Cool. Thank you. As far as the first quarter request for funds, Rebecca, you put that in, correct?
Yes. Well, actually, no, because I think I'm still waiting for it to be signed.
Oh, do you mean this resolution? Which piece needs to be signed?
No, just the form that requires the mayor's signature, I believe.
Got it. Yeah, I
I'm
think.
sorry, I don't have anything. in
Right.
front of
No,
me
I
visually.
understand. I understand. Yeah, I know that the mayor would have to sign that because he's the only one among us that can encumber the city financially.
Right.
Do I have the form?
That's what I'm looking to
I'm
see.
sorry, I think I may have actually just dropped the ball of it. I can't believe I did that. It's I will get it to you pronto. Or I guess I'm not, I think maybe I have it, maybe Branda has it and I wasn't sure who had to submit it where, something like that. But I guess that, I mean, if I can just directly send it to you, Kamal, then I will.
I think I sent it along. I'm making a note here. I'll look at my email threads. I don't want to do it while we're in the meeting because I made an edit to the form to make sure that our account number was on there and that it said, you know, it says print and sign. So I put Kamal's name at the bottom. So I thought I sent it along. If not, I'll send it.
Great, and I'll sign.
Perfect. So we can get that out today. That's not a problem.
Good, great.
As far as other, so I put in here, it says outreach position planning, what we needed to do for that. I wasn't sure.
So, yeah, so part of the grant is that there's money set aside for outreach with the idea that we were thinking that HCDPA would hire multiple people to sort of work in a part-time ad hoc basis to do outreach. And so it's pretty flexible about what that looks like. It could be that you have somebody who works, 5 hours every single week for the entire year. You could have somebody who does a whole lot of work, for a month and then steps away. It could be that there's certain projects that really ramp up for. So around the launch of the GAP funding, it could be that there's like extra outreach right around the launch of the GAP funding, or right around sort of around the creation of the Housing Trust Fund. There could be extra outreach sort of on those things. It also could be somewhat directed by the people doing outreach or by the community. So it could be that there's a particular need to do engagement, and so outreach could sort of like funnel around that. So I think it's budgeted, so there's like 10 or 20 hours per week, sort of as an average throughout the year. And so there's some flexibility in terms of how that gets carried out. My recommendation is that we post something. We have like a draft job description that's pretty flexible. That's basically like, we're looking for people who have the skill set to be able to sort of serve as trusted advisors to people at risk of displacement. Like, that's the target audience. It's like people who are at risk of displacement. So who are sort of trusted advisors, probably, who have experience either working within that community or come from that community, that can sort of translate some of the needs of the grant and translate sort of the needs of the residents to sort of create this, sort of two-way conversation. So who are those people who have the time and the skills to sort of put in that work? We basically put out a job call, do some interviews. I think similar to the way we are approaching the temporary housing position is that I would probably sort of take the administrative lead of sort of putting out the call and sort of highlighting sort of some of the top candidates. And then the ADLN team would make some additional selections. And as much as HCDPA wants to be involved with that process, they would serve as contractors to HCDPA. We sort of wouldn't be a long-term contract, but I think the expectation would be as long as they're performing successfully, they would continue to sort of serve in that outreach role throughout the grant process. And so the sort of structure is very similar to how we're doing the temporary housing position. And if HCDPA agreed with that process, I would sort of start that process by sort of posting the job description. We would do some of the similar outreach that we just talked about on this call and in the past call to sort of get to solicit people to apply. And then people would submit sort of like their invoices would be reviewed by the ADLN team and then submitted to HCDPA for ultimate payment.
That sounds like a very thoughtful plan. And Michael, you would be overseeing whoever these contractors are to make sure that the work was actually getting done.
For the beginning, so the vision would be is that I would sort of kick that off as the temporary housing person comes in. They would take a little bit more of a role of managing that, and then once the permanent housing justice director comes in, they would then be like sort of the key report.
Perfect. That sounds like a really thoughtful and good way to step into this. I'm really comfortable with that. So Rebecca, since you're so deeply involved with the ADLN team and you're also serving on the HCDPA board, I would imagine that you would be the obvious person to represent us through this process. Don't you agree?
That's been my assumption. Yeah,
Yeah,
I do agree.
good. I just didn't want to assign you something if you weren't.
But yeah,
I'm
no,
really good at
I'm,
giving people jobs before I check it out.
No, I mean, that's definitely been my assumption. So yeah, no, I'm happy to be the person.
That lead, yeah. You're the most deeply involved with it, and it just feels to me as though that makes sense from an administrative point of view. Okay. So do we need to make any decisions about this or any resolutions or votes today, Brianda?
No,
Good, good. I didn't think so.
no. So my next point on the agenda was just what are the next steps that we need to make sure that we're taking care of?
Just a quick question. Were we supposed to vote on what was just on the screen?
The resolution?
Yeah, did we actually vote on that? Sorry. I remember we had did we vote on that?
Right, it's the subcontract part. It's Rebecca motion and Marie you second. And you're right, we need to all do.
Yeah, I think we.
the counting.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Marie. Good catch.
You're welcome.
Thanks. So yeah, so what are the next steps? Maybe Michael, Rebecca, you can inform us what should we expect in the coming weeks?
I guess one question I would ask is, I mean, in terms of our hiring processes, like, we haven't defined a relationship between HCDPA and the hiring process of these positions. And as far as I mean, I would suggest or offer that basically I don't think there has to necessarily be one. But I'm open to other ideas.
Well, didn't Michael sort of outline that he would get the applications in and review them, and then then it would be the ADLN team that would sort of dive into them and sort them and get them into priority?
Oh, good. Okay. Sorry. It's funny trying to listen and not see anybody's faces. It kind of like is
Weird.
actually follow the
Yeah,
conversation.
I know.
But good. That's already been said. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Who is
And
speaking?
we'll need to, and it's part of the contract too, just to make sure that everybody knows, we need to cut the first check for March 1st. So I will prepare that prior to the next meeting. Right.
Okay.
So if you want, I can sort of just run down I think like the projects that we have and sort of next steps. So we have the HCDPA has approved the contract with Enterprise, and it has approved the funding requisition request. So the next step would be to sort of finalize that document, give it to the mayor. Mayor will sign, submit to Enterprise, and then hopefully the first quarter money will come into HCDPA quite soon.
Right.
We can start thinking about what that second quarter request looks like, because we're not ultimately that far away from sort of entering the second quarter.
Right.
The HCDPA has approved the subcontracts. So St. Catherine's has already signed that subcontract. And so I think we just need to countersign it and then basically tell St. Catherine's to get started as soon as possible to sort of put their team together. So hopefully that gap funding program should be started, I think, quite soon. My understanding is that I think they have some staffing flexibility where they'll be able to kick it off soon. So that's great. It's really important. The city will sort of similarly, I guess HCDPA will sign the contract with the city. City will sign, and then those two projects will begin. The Affordable Housing Development Plan, I think, is basically just about ready to go. I think Chris Shale had some edits that she wanted to add to the subcontract for the city, between the city and the Affordable Housing Development Plan, I think around and sort of including some of the insurance requirements more explicitly. So I think we can't sign on that until that happens, but presumably within the next couple of days that could sign and that project could then kick off. The Housing Justice Director, actually the Civil Service just met today, or they're meeting at this moment, to whether or not they approve that position. So that as soon as Civil Service approves that position, the city will sort of kick off the formal search for the Housing Justice Director position. We'll start, the temporary housing positions sort of already underway, and the outreach positions will be advertised shortly. So that, I think, is sort of outlines sort of all the key steps on this. I think the ADLN team has 2 other pieces of the grant that need to be advanced. One is, the biggest thing is the housing trust fund, which is like half the grant is about setting up a housing trust fund, and then half the grant goes to fund that. So that's sort of, I think, next steps is for the ADLN team just to sort of identify what that looks like. And there's a small portion of the grant that's actually TBD. That's like, it's like pitch what you want to do with this. So the ADLN team also has to identify what that additional money would be funded for. So I think that's what the next month or 2 in the next key steps are.
Busy.
Yeah.
Thank you. For sure.
And I guess, Brandon, we can touch base on how we want to track all these expenses between sort of like, there's like the grant side of tracking the grant expenses versus also just like the HCDPA bookkeeping. So we should
Right.
probably touch base on how we want to, because we're going to have a lot of different expenses coming through.
Right. And that's going to be helpful because when I set up the new QuickBooks, I want to be able to have all the different the chart of accounts set up so that everything matches, and we could just run a report and be like, oh, there it is. So.
Yeah, the fact that it's online, and Michael, you and Brandon will have, instant, well, we all would have instant access to it, but you in particular, in terms of making sure things get paid or where money comes in from enterprise at normal intervals will be really helpful.
No problem. Go. Is there anything else about ADLN?
I don't think so. Not from me. Rebecca, anything else we need to know from your end?
I do not think so.
Okay.
Well, except, no, nope, we're good.
Cool. And just the new business that I added to the revised agenda was in response to Christine, our new legal counsel, asking about different positions that our board members have on HCDPA. And for as long as I've been with HCDPA, nobody has ever had an official position. I just considered, it was always just considered, even with the auditors, that because you're all ex officio, you're just members of the board. So lo and behold, I should have, taken a closer look at our bylaws, and it says that the mayor can elect a chair position if he chooses to do so. Otherwise, the mayor remains the chair. Technically, he's vice chair. The planning board chair is to be the treasurer, and then the board can vote to select a secretary. And Christine, legal counsel, did say that she suggested that we do all of this.
Do you mean Christine Shale or Victoria Polidoro?
I think it was it Chris?
I think Victoria is the one.
Oh yeah, Victoria, sorry.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that we're talking with the right legal counsel.
Yep, Vicky.
Well, I did write Brandon alarming note, which is the treasurer is a word that scares me to death. I hate anything having to do with anything.
No way.
But I mean, if it's really just more like a figurehead position, I'm okay. But if there's something official that I'm going to be needing to do or track, I'm not the right girl for this job.
Right.
So what's the vision here? Is it really just so that we have a name on the letterhead that's associated with a particular office? So there's not going to be new stuff for me to do financially?
Right. And at this point, I mean, the way that we had it, and the way that it's been since I've been helping you guys out is, the mayor is always, the head chair, and then the planning board person is the second signer on all the accounts. And in my mind, as far as treasurer, I mean, you're looking at the documents just like you do every month. I mean, it's really no different. Everybody's looking at the same stuff. We're fortunate that we have a small group that everybody is actually reading their documents and know what's going on. So I really don't think it's any extra lift for you to be treasurer.
Okay, I just don't want to scare everybody to death.
No.
Okay, well, is the suggestion that we elect a secretary? And
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, are you comfortable with chairing this august team?
Sure. I mean, we don't really have to change the way we
No,
Yeah.
have been operating
no, it's
for
totally fine.
over a year now. I mean,
Okay,
but
good.
yeah,
As
I'm
long as
okay.
this isn't a real change to how we've been doing business, which has been working really well, I think.
Yeah.
Then I'm fine with it.
Cool.
Do we need a secretary?
Right. You have to nominate somebody.
I mean, I can take on the figurehead secretary role.
Okay. Self-nomination.
Does that mean, does that actually mean like I'd be responsible for the minutes, or is it?
No, I mean, I'll still do the minutes and whatever, but I mean, again, it's just making sure that, you as a board collectively have been looking at the minutes and passing them. So it's
Mhm.
not, again, it's not asking you to do anything extra. It's just having it in name to make sure that we're in compliance.
Okay,
Got it.
I'm good with it. Congratulations, Rebecca.
Oh, thank you. It's a lot of, it's a big challenge, but
Feel the love.
I'm not rising. Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
And the final thing that I had was that, again, because in years past, I feel like I'm making excuses, and really it's just, this is how it went, was that there wasn't that much activity with HCDPA other than some small amount of grant management. But the board was much less engaged in prior administrations. And now that we have this ADLN and we were doing a lot of, good work together, another ABO requirement is to do an annual board performance review at our annual meeting, which is normally held in March. I have documents, and it's just like an evaluation form that I will send out to you prior to the meeting. And you fill them out, you send them back to me. And if there's anything glaring or anything that, needs to be reported to the board, we'll talk about it, but general sense is, have we done a good job? I think we have. So it's pretty good.
Okay,
So that will come at you for the next meeting.
good. Okay, and then the other little piece of business is we have to approve your salary for this month. Do we not have to approve that?
Oh,
Bill?
yeah, sure.
So that you can get paid.
Yay.
Hey.
We need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the Brenda's salary.
Thanks.
Thanks, Marie. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Thanks, Rebecca. All in favor? Aye.
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 Okay, good.
Okay.
Anything else?
I think that was it. So I'll check on that financial request to get everything going for the mayor, and then we'll go from there. If anything comes up, of course, I'll send an email. If you have any questions, let me know. But yeah.
I have a quick question. I mean, it's not something we have to answer now, but I am curious when we're going to start talking about the properties and is that something we're going to start talking about at the annual meeting, perhaps? I mean, I'm pretty new to this, so I don't know what conversations have been
Sure.
had in the past, so I'm kind of eager to, get into that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I second that. I think it's been brought up over different meetings, and one thing I hope when we do talk about it, we'll sort of figure out how do we like align our plans with the affordable housing pipeline timeline development.
Yeah.
Mhm.
How are we going to work together with that? So
Yeah, we have a great opportunity, I think, with the ADLN grant and with the strategic housing action plan in place and all of these things. It's sort of interesting. They've all come together over the last couple of year and a half, I guess, 2 years. And so it does feel like we've got some property that could be used to a much higher and better purpose than it is just sitting there vacant. So Brenda, I think what would help me, because I'm not familiar with all of them,
Sure.
is to know which ones are actually viable, buildable, and which ones are just like a little postage stamp that, unless they're attached to something, a neighboring property, they really
Sure.
don't mean anything.
Right.
And then at least we can, as a matter of priority, start looking at the ones that actually are viable.
Not a problem. I can
So,
provide you
I'm
guys with
sorry.
a list of properties and then a little, maybe just do a little Google map screen share so you could see where they are in reference to the rest of this city. I mean, there's really only a handful. There's a lot of little things that don't quote unquote count, like they're 0.005 acres and like there's some weird stuff in there too. So I'll suss it out so that it's clear for y'all.
Yeah, that would be really helpful, because I'd rather focus on the ones that actually are important as opposed to those little tiny, like, just who knows why we even have
I
it.
don't even know why they're there.
And Marie, you had a comment?
Yeah, so have any of those properties have surveys been done on them, or are we really sort of starting from sort of scratch in terms of we know where they are, but we don't know much about their
Sure.
soil composition and all that?
When I was mayor's aide, we went through and we did
This one's
an
the perfect gift for the
appraisal
friend
on
who's been
all
getting a
what we
little too
thought were the viable properties at that time. So I have all that information. I think that was
Cool.
from 2018.
Cool.
So I can give you all of that.
That'd be
Not a
great.
problem.
Great. That'll be helpful.
Yeah.
At least it'll launch the conversation.
Yep.
Right. And the only one that I believe is not included in there is when we did the land swap with the city for the North Front Street, that little park. That's across from the chamber. So,
Oh, yeah, that we,
Oh, that one.
yeah.
yeah. Which
Is that
actually,
is that the one on Warren in front? Yeah, Warren in front. Okay.
it's a little map
Yep. Okay.
and a park bench.
Mhm.
Literally
Yeah,
right
right.
Thank you.
directly across from the chamber.
Hello?
Yeah, Rebecca? You there, Rebecca?
Hello?
Are you there? I lost you.
Oops. Now I couldn't hear you for a while.
Okay, because there was someone was leaving a message probably on my phone. Sorry about that. We were just commenting that it's the one we were about the little park that's directly across from the chamber that we own.
Right.
That
Yeah.
little piece, yeah.
Pretty significant spot right there.
It sure is
Mhm.
spot. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Great.
Anything else? All right, Branda, we will look for that survey from you about the board survey, how we're doing, and if there's anything else we need to get onto for the next meeting, let us know.
Will do. We got public comment. Anybody? Carol?
No, thank you.
No problem. Thanks, Carol.
All right, so do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Marie. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
See you next
Aye.
week, not before.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Yep.
Branda, I should just let you know, Abel Ramirez.
Oh, it was. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Anyway. All right. Thank you, everybody.